Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahawah, SHAM, YAHAWASHI, RACHAA, QADASH, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I'm going to be going into Revelations 13 and 10. But before I do that, man, I was just in the park, doing a little bit of training by myself, and I observed this Jake, right? So I'll tell you what happened, right? So I'm in the park now. Where I am in the park where the goals were, there's a skate park and a football court, and to the left of the football court is an actual like primary school, and then you have in front of it on the roadside is like a medical center. Then on the right of it is a community center, the community center, and then on the right of that is like a toddler school or nursery, right? So I see this it looked like a builder, looked like some kind of white boy that was a builder, and I see him walking up towards the skate park, and he looked like he was looking for someone. He was on the phone, and I thought, this don't look right. It was the wrong time of day, and I said to myself, I know what this is. So I'm there watching now, and eventually this young so-called Negro rolls up on an electric scooter, and he pulls out a fucking a gray plastic bag, and then pulls out a little baggie, gives it to the guy gives him the money and walks off. I'm like, damn, bro, you just did that in between a community center, a healthcare center, and two schools, right in broad daylight. I'm like, all right, cool. Then he doesn't just leave. He stands there for like another like 5-10 minutes. I'm thinking, wow. And then 3 other builders turn up, and again he pulls out the bag, gives them the drugs or whatever. And then he stands there, I kid you not, he's there in the same position for like another 20 minutes. And this is why you, Jake, man, that's why Esau makes sport of putting you, Jake, in jail. Because first of all, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. He's a young man, he's got his legs, he's got his strength, right? There's plenty for him to be doing out there, more constructive than selling fucking 10 bags and fucking 20 bags, yeah, or whatever the hell it is that them bags are going for nowadays, yeah. There's infinitely more things you could be doing more productively with your time, all right? And even in the wickedness he's doing, he's stupid, because all it would have taken was for some teacher or someone working in the community center to be like, hold on, this guy's just selling drugs right next to these schools, and called the police, and he literally would have been there for about half an hour, and they would have had all evidence, because he's walking around with all of the bags bagged up on him. It was unreal. But then I just realized that's why Jake fill up these prison cells, man, and rightfully so, because they're stupid, right? And they're dark souls, and they're doing what they shouldn't be doing in the first place, right? You shouldn't be selling no drugs. And it just reminds me of this scripture, Proverbs 1, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple. Because that guy was simple. The choices that he's made in his life, the fact that as a young man, instead of like, trying to get a trade or working his way, getting some kind of job so we can put food on the table, or learning some kind of skill, he's chosen to do this criminal activity, which nothing good can come from. You're gonna end up taking the drugs yourself and bugging yourself out, getting arrested and thrown in jail, just ruining your life completely, right? Or getting robbed, stabbed, shot, whatever by the ops or the rivals and whatever the hell it is, right? No matter which way you slice it, it's absolute simplicity to enter into that lifestyle in any way, shape or form. That's why these young men, they need subtlety. They need the head on their shoulders, but they ain't getting that schooling from the right places, right? Beginning with these scriptures to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. But guess what? 99 times out of 10, if I'd approached that young man and said, listen, what you're doing ain't right, there's other way things you can do, and I tried to mentor him or teach him the right way, he would reject it. And that's why 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed, because you see them going the wrong way. You see that they're in darkness. And what does the scripture say? Men love darkness rather than light. So if I had went up, approached him and said, look, bro, look at the situation. Look what you're doing to yourself. You literally could be going down right now for about 2-3 years easily. And all it would have took was one of them teachers to look out the window and see the foolishness that you're doing. And that could have been a wrap for you, right? You're living a risky lifestyle. There's no need for it. There's other options. Let me help you out. He wouldn't want to hear that. He wouldn't want to hear that. It's not that simple. Jake don't want to hear the word of the Lord. They don't want to hear no reason. That's why the majority of our people are going to have to be put to death. That's just how it's going to be, because their cogitation won't be changed. A lot of these niggas that's in the hood and doing all the foolishness that they're doing, you can't change their minds. They won't be rehabilitated. Now, some of them will. And that's the elect, because the elect are going to come from all forms of life, all manner of lifestyles. But the fact of the matter is that the majority of our people, you can't help them, because they will reject you. And when it's not you they're rejecting, they'll reject light. They'll reject the word of the Lord. And it's as simple as that. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And ultimately, that's what it's going to come down to. With the majority of our people, they're fools and they despise wisdom and instruction. So even when you see them going the wrong way and you try and impart on them any wisdom, they're going to turn around and fight you. They're going to rend you. They're going to call you stupid. They're going to ridicule you. They're going to despise your words. And I've seen that with my own 2 eyes, man. Especially the deeper they are in the madness, man. My son, hear the instruction of thy father and forsake not the law of thy mother. Right? A lot of these little dirty battam youths around the way, right? They're, the parents that they do have, some of them, their parents are telling them like, yo, you ain't supposed to be doing things like that, but they don't give a damn. A lot of these young men now, they're putting themselves into foster care because they be beating up their moms, and they don't even listen to their moms and them things like that. They want to do what they want to do, man. And no, you can't talk to them. Trust me, I know, because I used to be in that realm. You can't talk to these youths. They already think they know what they want to do, and they're stuck in the badness. All right. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. All right. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that out real quick. Let me find the scripture that I wanted to get. Right. So I want to address Revelations 13 and 10. Now, we know that the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, man, we were conquered and put into captivity by Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, of varying flavors, whether it be the British Edomite, the French Edomite, the Spanish Edomite, the Portuguese Edomite, right? They all colluded together to colonize and destroy our people, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. The main ones that violated the so-called Negro, the Southern Kingdom, would have to be the British and the Portuguese, because the Portuguese imported a lot of Negroes over to Brazil, right? So the main ones you'd have to say would be the British, but the Portuguese and the Spanish, they they all had a hand in the so-called slave trade. But then when you're going into the Northern Kingdom, like the natives of the Americas, that was mainly like the Spanish and the Portuguese, and obviously the English had their hand to play with the tribe of Gad. All right, so these nations, these Edomites, they rose up against our people. They committed all these atrocities against our people and acts of cruelty onto this very day, right? And so our people were taught that you're supposed to forgive and forget and all this BS, and they were taught that under the vibration of Christianity, even though the white Christian man does not forgive and forget. All right, the so-called white Christian man does not forgive and forget. If you transgress against Esau, Edom, you're going to pay. There's no forgiving and forgetting when it comes to Esau. Esau gonna get his get back. He always does. Case in point, Esau will get his get back against people that ain't even, like, why did they invade Iraq? Like, why did they invade all these different countries? It was to get that get back, and it weren't even real. That's how bad it is. Yeah, where was all the Christians saying, oh well, forgive and forget? They didn't even care about forgiving and forgetting and love thy neighbor and all that business there. They don't apply those concepts. When you go into the Native American Indians, they used to spread rumors about natives doing this, doing that, and rouse up the Edomites to go out there and massacre and kill Jake. That's how Esau is. Right, when Esau feels like he's been violated, whether it's true or not, Esau is looking for blood. He's gonna get his get back. But however, that plantation Christianity, that he taught our people, was that you're supposed to forgive it, you're supposed to forget, it's in the past and all this BS. All right, but if we go into the scriptures, we understand that whenever it comes to the nation of Israel, we know that Jeremiah 25:12. Let's come back. We know that it is the Lord that set up our enemies to come against us for transgression. We understand this in the scriptures, right? No, it's not Isaiah. What am I talking about? It's not 45. It's give me a second. I'm trying to think. 42. Isaiah 42. So we go to Isaiah 42. It gives us the understanding here. It says, Isaiah 42:9, he says, who is blind but my servant? The servant is talking about Israel. Or deaf as my messenger. Right? That's another word for angels. The Israelites that I sent. Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant? Seeing many things, but thou observest not. Opening the ears, but he heareth not. The Lord is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable, valuable. The word honor means value. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. All right, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we're a people that have been robbed and spoiled. We're supposed to be the richest people on the earth, based upon our possessions and our inheritances. But these things was taken from us, and now Esau, Edom, they're the richest people on the earth. And the other nations. Why? Because they robbed and spoiled us. They spoiled our resources. They spoiled our labor to this day. Yeah? This is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, right? Because Esau, Edom, right, being the rich, being the powerful, can prey upon our people. To this day, there's plenty of indigenous peoples all over the Americas that are fighting against corporations that are stealing their land and stealing their water, but you ain't gonna hear about that on CNN or Fox News, and because they're all in on the game. Like, you see this little, someone will do a little off, and they're getting killed and assassinated by Western corporations. Because the corporations coming in and stealing the water from the river so they can't farm and all kind of madness. Why? Because our people are a prey. If you want to do anything, if you really want to do something to a people and not face repercussions, the best people to do it to is the so-called Negro, Hispanic, and Native American Indian. That's why they put all their polluting companies and industries in our neighborhoods, because they know that what are you going to do about it? Unless you have their media to promote your cause, no one would ever even hear about it. That's why anytime you see them making a big deal in the media about anything as concerning you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, you know that it's a setup. Like the whole George Floyd thing, when these things happen and they make it into a massive media storm, they've chosen to do that. Because if they wanted to, they just wouldn't put it on the news. And so no one would even hear about it. You'd be on your own. So a lot of this stuff you see on the mainstream media, it's there because they want it to be there. You're a prey. You don't have a power. You don't really have your own mass media where you can get your voice heard. Your voice has to be put on their networks. So they control it. That's why there's a lot of things that happen that you never really hear about. There's a lot of things that happen, but then you're wondering, like, why did everyone hear about George Floyd? Because it was a setup. All right, they wanted you to hear about that. Okay, but they are for prey and none delivereth, for spoil and none saith restore, because they don't want to restore you Israelites to your past glories. Our past glory is as rulers over this earth, as grand sovereigns. And that's what you so-called Negroes, Hispanics don't understand, because you don't have the understanding of your true history. We are a royal people. Our true estate and our true form is to be in possession of the Holy Land and to reign in all things over the nations. That is our British. That's not a restoration. That's not even a 1% of who you are and what you're supposed to be. So no one is really saying, let's restore these people, let's restore their lands, let's restore to them the knowledge of who they are, let's restore the scriptures. They don't want to do that. They want you to be a Negro. And another thing is, what I'm finding is they're attaching the identity of LGBT with so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Like, so anytime they mention LGBT, it's all about racism as well. And they have you ever noticed that? Have you noticed that LGBT is always intertwined with the identity and the goals of so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians? That's madness, man. And a lot of our people now, because of that programming, they fight and they're down for LGBT, and it disgusts me, because I'm an Israelite. I'm fighting for who I am. I'm not going to fight for no Bati boy. What's going on? That's a wicked lifestyle. It's not productive in any way. What does that do for us, having a bunch of Bati boys and transgender, mentally ill people running around molesting the children? But a lot of Jake, they've attached that LGBT women's rights to our rights, man. No, we fight for Israel's rights. We don't fight for women's rights and Bati boy rights. Well, you know what kind of, burn that straight all day. Lightning for that. Lightning and thunder, fire and brimstone. That's the way because our part of our true culture is to be against that kind of lifestyle. You understand? But when you go to the Black Lives Matter and you go to the website, what were they promoting? Lesbianism and transgenderism and oh, transgenders are black people too. No, they're not black people. Well, they are black as in their dark hearts, but they're not Israelites. They revoke the right to have that identity, man. They're a nobody. They're persona non grata, man. They've forfeited themselves. All right, that's the way I feel about it, man. They're lucky it's not the ancient world, and we're under grace. But anyway, who among you will give ear to this, and who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not the Lord, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle, and they have set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. So this is confirming that ultimately it's the Lord that set these enemies up against us. It's the Lord that set this Edomite, the worst of the heathen, to come up against us and do these atrocities against us, right? But Esau's still at fault. He's still gonna be punished. Yeah, like that Edomite that shot them 11 Jakes. He's still gonna have to pay for that. Him and his people are still going to have to pay for that. Even though them people were wicked and they were receiving their judgment, he gonna receive his judgment too. That's how it works. That's why the scripture says, thou shouldst not have looked upon thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. When the Lord took the hedge from over his people, you shouldn't have run in to do what you did. Now you're going to have to get dealt with. Just like the Edomite that told David that he slew Saul. He's like, hold on, how did this thou not fair to touch the Lord's anointed? Fire for that. Yeah, you see what happened to him, right? Yeah, he had to lie down. You understand? David said, yo, make this guy lie down right away. He needs to go horizontal. And he did. Yeah? So this is Romans 9. Romans 9 and 19, it says, thou wilt say unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For whoever resisted his will? Nay, but, O man, who art thou that replieth against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? So this man, this Edomite man, the so-called white one, was set up to be our adversary. He was set up to be the devil. He was set up to be our prison guard. That's what he was made to do. But once our punishment is fulfilled, he's going to get punished. And it's not nothing new. All right. That's why I'm about to jump back to Jeremiah now. The Lord sent the Babylonians against us and for our punishment, right? This is Jeremiah 25 and 9. It says, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, saith the Lord, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against this land, right? He's talking about the land of Judah, right? And will bring them against this land and against the inhabitants thereof and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them and make them an astonishment and an hissing and a perpetual desolation. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones and the light of the candle. And this whole land shall be desolation and an astonishment. And these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years, right? So you will get Israel was going to go into captivity under the Babylonians, and the Lord saying, look, I'm sending Nebuchadnezzar to do this. But guess what? And it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, saith the Lord, for their iniquity, and the land of the Chaldeans will make it perpetual desolations. So what the scriptures is telling you there, that even though the Lord set it up for the Babylonians to be as a chastisement unto us, the Babylonians were not justified. And so the same thing goes when we go to you Edomites. You Edomites are not justified, and you will be punished. Right now, you might say, "Oh well, the New Testament." Oh, listen, let's get the New Testament. The book of Revelations, is it not in it? Hold on. That's the Old Testament, yeah, from Genesis to Malachi, right? This is the New Testament from Matthew to Revelations, right? Revelations being the final book, yeah. Revelations 13 and 9 says this: if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Notice it never said he gonna go to hell. He gonna burn in hell for all eternity. He said he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. It says he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Notice it never said he that killeth with the sword is gonna die and go to hell. Never said that. Yeah. It's the judgment. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Now listen to this. Here is the patience, right, and the faith of the saints. So if you're a saint, if you are of the saints, which is the holy people, your faith and your suffering is that those that put you in captivity, that they're gonna go into captivity, and those that are killing you with the sword, that they're gonna be killed with the sword. Yeah, and we have to be patient, because meaning we have to suffer this man to enslave us. We have to suffer this man to kill us in faith that the Lord is going to bring justice. Do you understand? So part of our faith is to look and desire that justice. Part of our faith is to look for those that put us in captivity to be put into captivity. Part of our faith is to look that our enemies that roll up into supermarkets and start shooting up man's granddads and grandmothers and mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters, Israelites, that our faith is that, yeah, they were wicked and the Lord judged them, but guess what? That Edomite and his people that did that, they're gonna be punished, man. They're gonna get killed with the sword. And there's nothing evil or unrighteous about that, because as we're reading, it is the patience and the faith of the saints. Now, your boy Vocab Malone, he has a problem that we have that faith. And another thing is, he tries to paint it like we are not willing to be patient. We're not willing to suffer these things. We are more than willing to suffer these things because we have faith. We are faith-based people. The Hebrew Israelites, we are together based upon faith. We're not the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers weren't based upon faith. Great Millstone, we have a faith. Our faith is in YAHAWASHI. We're not carnal, so we're not trying to achieve things according to our own lusts. This happened with my Wi-Fi. It seems like every day around the same time, I might having a problem with my Wi-Fi. So like, yeah, like I was saying, man, we patient things, because if we didn't have, we'd basically destroy ourselves, man. We'll resist against this, man, and vengeance. And that was a big part of what the Zealots were doing. Zealots were trying to, they weren't being in, all right, but we are patient, and our patience is going to pay off. They will come. I don't really on this damn data. What's wrong with this Wi-Fi, yo? Let me just finish up real quick. While because my area, the mobile is mad, trust me. Anyway, Matthew and 26, he said, and he that overcometh and keepeth works on to him power. Now that power, the judicial authority to judgments, yeah? And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of the potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. So we're gonna rule these nations with a rod of iron, and when we rule in these nations, what are we gonna be doing? We're gonna be exerting judgment, punishments. And there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong with desiring to punish Esau, Edom. However, we must also remember that we are in this thing in faith, and we have to be patient. And like I said, Vocab Malone tries to ignore that fact that we teach patience, to try and make it look like we're some, militant group that's gonna go out there and do something crazy. We ain't gonna do a damn thing but teach these scriptures, because that's what the Lord commanded us to do, patiently and waiting upon him. But when the Lord comes and the Lord gives us the green light according to his authority, then it's going to be according to Psalms 147. Where's the book of Psalms? Sorry, not 447, 149. It says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the heathen, to bind their kings with chains, slavery, captivity, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord. All right. So we have to, that's why in this truth, you have to remain balanced. You are going to get angry and frustrated with Esau, Edom, but at the same time, you always have to remember that ultimately he gonna get what's coming to him, and we have to remain patient. That's why the scripture says, fret not because of evildoers. Don't lose your mind. Don't be overwhelmed with emotions. But there's nothing wrong with desiring vengeance, desiring justice, because that's what we're really preaching about. We're preaching about justice. Don't ever feel ashamed for that cause, because that's what Vocab, Malone and these guys, they're trying to shame us. Oh, you're hate preachers, you're horrible people. Why? Because we desire justice. You preach hate. No, we preach justice. And that's what's coming. You know, like me personally, man, look, man, sometimes thinking about you Edomites, man, you're gonna definitely have to pay. But we have to patiently wait. But it ain't too long now. It ain't too long. All right, we just have to wait patiently and let the Lord do his thing. Esau gonna do a lot more to us, man, before this thing's, you know, over and done with. But even in the time of Jacob's trouble, we're still gonna be patient and know that the time is gonna come where Esau, he gonna regret it, man. He gonna be sorry. He gonna wanna take away yourself. You best believe it. Yeah. Because when we get our hands on this devil, it's not gonna be no laughing thing. It's not gonna be a joke thing. It's not gonna be no flipping birthday party thing. Yeah. It's not going to be a mirth thing for him. That's what I'm telling you this. You can, hey, listen, Vocab and all you Edomites out there, you better know this for free. The day the Lord's authority over you in righteousness, it's not going to be a laughing thing. It's not going to be a joke thing, star. Yeah? Out. Yeah? 100%. You find out what it means to be the victim of real. That's what you're going to find out. Real hate. That's what you're going to feel. You're going to feel it in the way we look at you. You're going to smell the hate coming off us. It's going to be oozing, emanating. Oh, you best believe that. You're going to feel the hate in that day. But that day is not now. We have to wait